Ready? Let's go. Yay, so fun that. Whee, it's moving. I love this.
And pulling their red radio flyer wagon through a sunny park in a quaint Massachusetts harbor town, vanish without a trace. It's 1985, a time when small-town America felt eternally safe, but on that fateful August day, Laya and Daisy Mercer disappear, leaving behind only echoes of laughter and a community's shattered innocence. 15 years later, a simple fisherman hauls up a barnacle-encrusted relic from the ocean's depths, reigniting a cold case that exposes dark secrets of jealousy, betrayal, and unimaginable evil lurking in familiar faces. This is the chilling, true-inspired tale of the Mercer twins' disappearance, a story that not only unravels a mystery, but teaches us profound lessons in resilience, the power of truth, and the human spirit's capacity for hope. As we dive into this narrative on our channel dedicated to storytelling for English learners, we'll explore vivid vocabulary like revery, a state of being lost in thought, often dreamy or nostalgic, and idioms such as disappeared into thin air, vanished completely without explanation, while drawing parallels to real historical cold cases like the 1980s child abductions that plagued the U.S., reminding us that wisdom comes from reflecting on the past to build a better future. In the sleepy coastal town of Rockport, Massachusetts, nestled in Essex County where the Atlantic's salty breeze carried whispers of old seafaring tales, Moren Mercer began her day like any other in the year 2000, 15 years after the nightmare that stole her joy. The morning sun filtered through her kitchen window, casting elongated shadows on the worn floorboards that had witnessed her family's happier times. Rockport, with its historic harbors dotted by lobster boats and fish markets bustling like hives of activity, was a place rooted in American maritime history, much like the real whaling ports of the 19th century that inspired tales by Herman Melville in Moby Dick. Moren, now 46, stood at the sink, absent-mindedly scrubbing the same coffee cup for the third time, her mind adrift in a reverie of what-ifs and lost laughter. The twins, Laya and Daisy, had been 8 years old in 1985, full of life and mischief, their red radio flyer wagon a symbol of innocent adventures. That summer day, they played in the park across the road, a safe haven in a town with one of the lowest crime rates, where neighbors were like extended family. But they never returned by 5:30 p.m., prompting Moren's frantic search through the park, the fish market where she ran her thriving stall, and the familiar stores. The police launched an exhaustive investigation, interviewing everyone from gas station attendants to harbor authorities, but the girls seemed to have disappeared into thin air, leaving the community in shock. This mirrors real historical events, such as the 1981 disappearance of Adam Walsh, which led to child safety reforms and the creation of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, highlighting how such tragedies spur societal change. As Moren relived those memories, a knock shattered her solitude. Through the window, a police cruiser gleamed ominously, sending chills down her spine. Officers Brennan and his partner stood on her porch, their faces etched with solemnity. "Mrs. Mercer," Brennan said, doffing his cap in a gesture of respect, "we need you to come to Granite Cove Harbor. There's been a development in your daughter's case." Her heart lurched, a mix of dread and fragile hope. The drive to the harbor felt eternal, the familiar streets blurring like tears in her eyes. Upon arrival, the scene buzzed with forensics teams in white jackets, their movements precise amid the salt-laden air. Detective James Morrison, her steadfast ally since 1985, stood by the water's edge, his graying hair tousled by the breeze. Beside him was Tommy Caldwell, a weathered fisherman in rubber boots and a cable-knit sweater, and between them lay the shocking find, the red radio flyer wagon, corroded by ocean depths, barnacles clinging like grim souvenirs, one wheel missing. Moren recognized it instantly. The scratch from Daisy's garage mishap, traces of Laya's purple nail polish redecoration. Her legs buckled, but Morrison steadied her. Tommy, with his thick Massachusetts accent, a dialect rich in dropped R's and elongated vowels, teaching English learners about regional phonetics, explained his discovery. "I was trying deeper waters near Devil's Drop," he said, rubbing his neck. Fish scarce lately due to warm in waters. Climate change hitting us hard, like in real reports from the 1990s onward about ocean acidification. Devil's Drop, infamous for jagged rocks and treacherous currents, had claimed the trawler Mary Catherine in 1978, a true nod to maritime disasters like the Andrea Gale in the 1991 perfect storm. Most fishermen avoided it, calling it the sea's forbidden domain. No bodies were found yet, but divers were deployed. This moment marked Moren's emotional pivot, from numb limbo to ignited determination. At the station, amid faded walls and a newfangled computer, a symbol of technological progress from the bulky 1980s models to Y2K-era towers, they reviewed the case. Rockport's low crime rate belied hidden dangers, philosophically teaching that safety is an illusion, much like in Stoic wisdom, where Epictetus urges us to focus on what we can control. Moren demanded to see Tommy again, receiving his address and a spare Nokia phone, its tiny screen a bridge to the modern world she'd ignored in grief. Driving to Tommy's modest property, she found him pressure washing his boathouse, the gravel crunching underfoot like unresolved questions. Their conversation revealed community shifts, fewer boats from 60 to 70 in 1985 to half now, young folks fleeing for Boston jobs, echoing real U.S. rural exodus trends post-1980s farm crisis. Tommy recalled her market stall's prime corner spot, now Frank Ditz after her closure. Frank, once struggling, had resented her success. She'd bought his stock out of pity, but his pride rebuffed her. This planted seeds of suspicion, developing Moren's character from passive mourner to active seeker. Offering a reward, Tommy refused, citing his grandkids, a universal wisdom on empathy. Exchanging info, Moren left with renewed faith in human kindness. At the fish market, unchanged in layout but with new faces, Frank's stall thrived in her old spot. His gruff demeanor stung. People starting to think you're dead. Yet he gifted a styrofoam box of seafood, perhaps gloating or atoning. Overwhelmed by memories, she headed to the cutting house, after discovering her freezer dead. There, spotting Jesse Vaughn, the apron man from an overheard auction argument with Frank, added intrigue. Mark Patterson, the owner, welcomed her warmly, waving off payment initially, but she insisted on normalcy. As Jesse took the box, Mark confided his dislike for Frank's unpleasantness. Leaving, Moren felt exhaustion but a nagging pull toward truth. Spotting Tommy agitated with a foul garbage bag, she learned of vandalism. A bald man in a dark F-150 with a sticker, half the fisherman's ride. Sharing her seafood, they bonded over Frank's oddity. Philosophical undertones emerged, jealousy poisons, as in Aristotle's ethics on virtue over vice. Modern relevance ties to English idioms like fish out of water, feeling uncomfortable, explained as Moren felt revisiting the harbor. Her growth, from isolation to reconnection, teaching that healing demands facing pain. What hidden resentments in your own community might be simmering beneath the surface, and how can confronting them foster personal growth and stronger bonds? The afternoon waned as Moren drove home, the radio's Fleetwood Mac dreams evoking fleeting normalcy, but a reckless car shattered it, Jesse Vaughn flagging her down in panic. His confession tumbled out, Frank's desperate pleas for his boathouse and boat, offering cash to tie up loose ends, showing a photo of grown twins resembling her daughters. Jesse, tempted by money for business expansion amid Mark's debts, had accepted but now regretted, fearing Frank's threats. This revelation cracked Moren's world. Twins alive? Only one visible, stirring hope and horror. Philosophically, it echoes Kant's categorical imperative. Act only according to maxims you can will universal. Jesse's delay a moral failing redeemed by confession. Historical ties to 1980s abductions like Eton Patz's 1979 case, sparking milk carton kids campaigns for awareness. Urging police involvement, Moren called Morrison via Nokia, relaying details without alerting Frank. Defying orders, they staked out from a rise, viewing the empty boathouse. Tension built like a storm. Unmarked cars swarmed, but Frank's F-150 bypassed it, heading to Jesse's new fishery house. The sticker matched Tommy's vandal description, confirming connections. Following discreetly to pines overlooking, they watched Frank extract a limp woman, Laya, grown but recognizable. He carried rope and tools inside, intent clear. Police raided swiftly, no shots, arresting Frank. Morrison's call confirmed. Daughter safe, scared. Racing down, Moren entered the humming fishery, refrigerators buzzing, rope half knotted above a slab, incinerator hot for disposal. Laya stirred, confused, believing her mother dead per Frank's lies. Recognition dawned amid tears. He killed Daisy. Embracing, Moren laughed at being called old, a poignant moment of reunion. Jesse, tearful, noted mutual salvation. His silence would have doomed them all. Medics examined Laya, documenting abuse, advising hospital. At the station, activity buzzed. An officer mentioned Frank, talking but hiding. Separate interviews. Moren detailed her day, Morrison sharing Frank's confession. On August 12, 1985, Frank lured the girls with vanilla slices and fishing promises, sedating and hiding them on his trawler. A network of fishermen lent them, echoing real sex trafficking rings exposed in the 1990s like the Franklin scandal allegations. Later, basement captivity with paltry money, lies of parents' death. Daisy's escape attempt at 14 ended in murder, throat cut, body processed with fish acid, disposed. Moren's sobs filled the room. Why? Jealousy over her stall's success crippling his generational business. He evened the score, taking her children as she took his livelihood. The seafood gift? Flaunting victory. Frank reopened in her spot post-tragedy, thriving. Tommy's vandalism? Frank's petty jealousy. Charges for Jesse, but leniency for cooperation. Emerging, Moren hugged Laya, erasing years. Jesse's weak smile. Consequences bearable over guilt. Escort to hospital followed. Emotional arc. Moren's transformation from broken to empowered mother, Laya from captive to free. Vocabulary like steeled herself, braced from steel, meaning strengthen, and idiom, the world spun. Dizzy from shock, aid learners. Universal wisdom. Silence enables evil, as in Martin Luther King Jr.'s In the End, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Modern relevance. In today's digital age, social media aids missing persons, teaching English through advocacy phrases like spread the word. How might speaking up in your own life, despite fear, prevent tragedy and ignite personal redemption? As night enveloped Rockport, the hospital's sterile lights illuminated a new chapter for Moren and Laya, where healing began amid beeps and whispered consultations. Laya's full examination revealed scars, physical from years of confinement, emotional from Frank's manipulations, but no immediate threats. Therapists introduced coping strategies, drawing from real psychological advancements post-1980s trauma studies, like PTSD recognition in DSM-3. Moren held her hand through it all, their bond reforming like fractured bone knitting stronger. Flashbacks interspersed. Laya recounting basement days, small earnings hoarded futilely, Daisy's brave but fatal bid for freedom. Philosophical depth emerged in reflections on freedom, John Locke's natural rights, where liberty is inherent, stolen here by envy. Historical parallels to underground railroad escapes in 19th century America, where captives sought light amid darkness. Back home, Moren transformed her neglected kitchen into a haven, cooking shared meals from stored seafood, each bite a reclaiming of normalcy. Community rallied. Tommy visited with grandkids, sharing fishing tales that taught idioms like hook, line, and sinker, completely fooled. Mark from the cutting house offered free storage indefinitely. Jesse, out on bail, facing reduced charges, apologized profusely, his business salvaged by honesty. Frank's trial loomed, evidence mounting. Wagon forensics linking to his trawler, incinerator residues, network confessions under pressure. Media descended, turning Rockport into a focal point. Much like the 1996 JonBenet Ramsey case, spotlighted small-town horrors. Moren's stall reopened symbolically, Laya helping, symbolizing rebirth. Emotional development peaked in therapy sessions, where forgiveness was debated, Buddhist teaching on holding anger like hot coal, burning the holder. Laya's growth, from withdrawn victim to advocate, planning speeches on survivor resilience. Modern ties to English learning, phrases like tie up loose ends, resolve unfinished matters, explained in context, aiding idioms mastery. Universal,